Hey up, I dare say Starcraft here, and I'll be casting a few pro-level games between TAiLS, the Protoss player, and the little one, theZerG. And this'll be the start of a new series for me. It's where pro players cheese and get cheesed. And I'd like you to post in the comments a good name for the series. Now, while we're waiting for the game to really kick off, I thought I'd tell you a bit about my journey over the last 2 years. It all started with the big earthquake we had in Christchurch. I guess there was just something about having seen firsthand so many good people's lives just turned upside down completely and without warning in an instant. It was really a wake-up call for me. So it really snapped into place that if there were things that I wanted to do, then I have to do them while I still can, and I can't put them off forever. I realise that sounds completely cliche, and I'm really trying not to turn this into a soap opera moment, but there is no other way for me to explain what I decided to do next. The very first course of action I took was to quit my job and put in notice at my place. At the time I thought it would force me to do what it was I was a bit unsure about, and what that was, I'll get to in a second. But the reason being, I thought because I'd have no place to live and no job to pay for one if I did, then the only option I'd have left is my plan, which pretty much goes as follows. Sell everything I own that's of value and use that fund to go around seeking adventure and try to create the kind of life that I'd like to have lived. Now look at that, there's a forge coming in for TAiLS. Let's turn back into the game. Looks like he's going to lay down a pylon and try to cannon out TLO's expansion. TLO does spot it, and if he acts fast, he can stop this. He's got that drone on the inside of the pylon, so he can't get blocked away from it. And if he gets the other drone on there, he can knock out this pylon before it has the chance to power any cannons. He really needs more than 2 drones here. There, he's bringing more over, but it might be too late. There's 3 cannons gone down, and he's neglected to focus on the pylon powering all the cannons. He's going to swing around and try to take out some of the cannons, but he's blocked out at the last minute. The little one should really just cancel this hatchery and move somewhere else. Is he going to let it finish? Yeah. Well, there's nothing left to do now but defend it. But if you do the math, he's actually not that far behind if he cuts his losses now. It cost 500 minerals to lay down those 2 pylons and the 2 cannons. And look, he's even adding another one on. If the little one just cuts his losses here, he actually comes out ahead. And if we look back at TAiLS' base, he just doesn't have much there. The little one might be better off just macroing up a big army and attacking the home base while TAiLS is dumping minerals here. It looks like the little one preparing some spine crawlers. He wants to save this expansion. He's swinging around with the spine crawler. I think he's going to try and get those cannons that are morphing closer in. But all the while, the hatchery is taking shot after shot, like me on a Wednesday morning. Now look at that, a great last minute cancel by TAiLS, and the little one making some decent headway here. Taking minimal losses while forcing TAiLS to invest more and more minerals into this attack. But it's starting to look pretty dire for the little one. Freshly rooted spine crawler going to take out 1 cannon. Zergling's closing in to take out a warping cannon. But he is going to lose this hatchery. There's nothing for it now. The Broodling's closing in to do a little bit of damage, but it's not going to save that spine crawler on the right. TAiLS' base is just wide open. Now, it's easy for me to say, but I think it would have been better if the little one had streamed units into TAiLS' base. Just let his expansion die. Looks like the little one's tech switching into some roaches. And look, he can poke away at that pylon from a safe distance. And it looks like TAiLS is happy to abandon that. The damage being done. Here, back in TAiLS' base. He's been macroing on the back of it. He's got a second Nexus. He can chrono boost out harvesters from both. He's already ahead in harvesters and he's going to pull away much more now. It's not a good position to be in if you're a Zerg. Spine crawler dancing back and forth, trying to get an angle. But there's really no rush to clear out those cannons. The little one's already got another expansion on the way. looks like they're both going to go into macro mode here for a moment. So maybe it's a good opportunity for me to get back to telling you about what happened to me. Now, after giving up my place and selling my stuff, the first thing I wanted to do was to visit every continent. Now, my thinking wasn't the most lucid, but it seems strange to me that you can live and die on this planet without actually seeing everything it has to offer. Now, how I thought I was going to see everything with the paltry sum that I'd raised from selling the few possessions that I had, I don't know. Really, your guess is as good as mine. It looks like TLO is going to move in, try and take out these cannons. I really don't actually know why this matters to him. I guess he wants a third expansion, but he's going to pay for it. And it's going to cost him 1 roach. It's going to cost him a 2nd roach. And he'll probably get away with everything else. Yeah. I don't know if I like that move by the little one though. He essentially refunded one of those cannons and gave 50 gas as a tip, because he lost 2 roaches assaulting cannons he didn't need to clear out. He of course could have taken any other expansion on the map and just sidestepped that entirely. Oh, TAiLS has got a lot of gateways coming down. This is going to be a very tough space for TLO to find himself in. A Protoss player between Warp Gate and Chrono boosting the cooldown is going to have a very big army very soon. If you look at the income, the Protoss player is so much farther ahead in harvesters, plus he's researching +1 attack, and the little one's just got nothing on the way to answer for this. It's basically still just draining up, but TAiLS is looking to move out, knocking down the pylon he used to wall himself in, and it's timed perfectly with the warp gates opening. Should have actually sat and watched that. Yep, that's pretty much the first time I've ever seen that happen. But look at that huge first warp cycle. It's going to send out a couple Phoenix to see what's happening on the map, see what the little one's been up to all this time. And if we look at the production tab, it looks like the little one's getting burrow for his roaches, and TAiLS is going to glide right past the little one's 3rd, heading straight into the main base. He's going to get assaulted by the queen, but he'll make it by. Going to check out the natural expansion, see that that's barely saturated, and you can see on the mini-map that he's actually seen a creep expanding from the 3rd. He's going to circle back and see what's going on there, and he's just going to get out with that Phoenix to have the opportunity to spy a fully saturated 3rd. And having seen all that, TAiLS got to be feeling pretty confident. He hasn't seen anything that's going to be too sticky for him, and as a result he's going to move out. This is a fairly scary Protoss army. It's got 10 Sentry, 6 Stalkers and 6 Zealots, which is actually really good counter to the 12 Roaches that the little one has. And with good reason, it's quite a lot more expensive. Now TAiLS is going to move up into TLO's natural expansion at the 3rd, and the drones are going to try to make it out, but half of them are going to get cut off. Some roaches also hatching at just the wrong time. Their lives over before they've even begun, and this hatchery is definitely toast. But at the same time, the little one moving into the Protoss base, knocking down the pylon as he goes. TAiLS evens up the expansion count. TLO swinging around, focus firing probes, and putting his micro to the test, burrowing roaches as they get damaged, and TAiLS has no way to see the burrowed roaches, so TLO's safe for now. And TAiLS very cleverly has a cannon warping in nearby for detection, bringing his whole army back to make sure he can clean this out for good. TLO has to see that cannon finishing, decides to pop up, going to try to retreat, taking out a probe as he goes, and he's going to get caught by a force field. One cheeky little roach staying behind, but he's not a big threat. And even though TLO killed some probes there, it really wasn't worth it. He lost a lot of roaches, and when you're behind like TLO was, you have to be very cost effective with your attacks, and that one wasn't. But now it looks like the little one's going to transition into swarm hosts, which is actually a great way to claw his way back into this game. Harvester count now is very close, closer than it's been for a while. Both armies moving out into the same spot. They're going to meet here in the middle on the high ground, and it looks like it's catching the little one a little bit unawares. His units were on move command, And he burrows right underneath the army. It's very scary for TAiLS. Oh, the little one pops up for a couple well-placed snipes of the sentry. And the little one contented just to rest underneath this army. But TAiLS cleverly laying down another cannon to give him detection of the burrowed units. And it's really down to if the little one notices this is happening. If he's burrowed, when this cannon finishes, it's going to get very soupy very fast. Oh mate, what are you doing? You can't stay here. And TAiLS showing why those sentry are so important. He's got so many, he can make a wall. And the little one's staying right where he is. The cannon finishes and look at the supply plummet. It's really bad for the little one. And if you look at the production tab, TAiLS is following this up with Colossus Tech. But the little one does have a Spire going down and he's making a lot more Swarm hosts, which can be very expensive for a Protoss to deal with. But TAiLS is set up pretty good. He's got a third, he's ahead in Harvesters, and look at that army differential in his favour. And TLO GG's out just as I say that. Mate, can you hear me? It's like he was listening in from the past. Very impressive that the little one can map hack the space-time continuum. Despite that though, TAiLS wins with a cheesing strategy. And I happen to think it's quite interesting to see how pros respond to cheese. And I was actually pretty surprised that the little one took it this badly. He's a very good player, he's very creative, but his response to this cheese was kinda weak. That said, go ahead and click to the next game in the series to see if the little one gets some payback, and we'll see how my plan begins to materialize.